Welcome to Changing the Sales Game on webtalkradio.com. I'm your host, Connie Whitman. My guests and I are always excited that you join us weekly. So as you listen every week, listen, changing your sales game, and really it boils down a lot to communication. I'm not saying that's an easy skill or easy to up our game on the sales realm. So in my show notes, I have my gift, which is my communication style assessment for you. You will get 2 reports. First report is just your natural communication superpowers. It's how your message typically lands. It's important for you to understand that because we're communicating with humans. The flip side, your lowest score will typically be a blind spot. So when you're communicating with people 180 degrees different than you, important to know how is your message actually landing. So again, I put that in the show notes. The link is there for you to try, take the assessment and get those 2 reports. And I do hope it helps you change your sales game. Now, to set the stage for my guests and I for today, the motivational quote I chose is by Keith Rosen. And Keith says, if you don't have a defined process that moves your people forward so they can achieve greater results, then what is it you are managing? Couldn't say that. So you're managing the status quo. So I often see managers managing numbers, metrics versus coaching someone to grow and build those new and improved skills that are necessary, right, to improve our sales results. Those who know me have heard me often say, especially in coaching classes, we can't coach a number or metric to gain market share or to grow our sales results, right? We need to coach our teams based on their personal skill growth needed to develop to generate new and at the end of the day, more profitable business. So in other words, behaviors drive numbers, not vice versa, right? I can manage a person, not a number. So today, during today's show, we're actually going to dig in and discuss how to buy back tons of time by training and preparing sales reps to do the job. So who is this expert I speak of today? Well, his name is Stephen Rhyne. He's the CEO of conveyyour.com. And Stephen is a CUTCO Hall of Fame sales rep. I love CUTCO. And now he helps companies recruit, onboard, train, and retain better sales reps. So please help me welcome Stephen to the show.
Thanks for having me, Connie.
Yeah. Thanks for being on. Isn't that a good quote?
It's a really good quote. I love that. The numbers, the metrics, all of that are all just those are not the stats that we can manage. Effort stats are the things we can manage. Skill stats, progress in that person's capabilities is what we can manage. And we have kind of a way of thinking about that is like working backwards from those numbers. So I love that quote. I need to steal it. Please give it to me.
I'll send it to you. You're so funny.
Yeah, it's really great. Managing the status quo. That's a zero-sum game right there, because really what you're not saying I'm going to grow the capabilities and the skills to a larger pie, a larger, potentiality of my group of people.
Yep.
Instead, you're saying you are all that you're going to be now, and I'm just going to manage the numbers within that container. So yeah, really like that.
It's sad, right? Because it's so limiting. It's funny. I remember when I first started, I've shared this story before on the show, so I'm sure people will still chuckle. But the person who was training me in sales, right, I just got my licenses and everything. He should not have been managing, coaching, leading anybody, by the way. But I remember I made my first, this was back in the 80s. Okay. So I made $1 million sale. And I came in and I was in my 20s. What did I know? But I thought, this is good. I think this is really good. As I was getting better and better and getting referrals and doing my business, right. Building my sales skills. And I came in all excited and he looked at me and he goes, why didn't you do 2 million? And I thought, okay, I'm on my own. It really went through my head. And I thought, just learn, read, figure it out, because I wanted to get better, more efficient, obviously make more money, but I knew he wasn't going to be the one to help me get there. So you have to kind of dig in and take responsibility. Right. So, but
when he said that to you, when he said, why don't you do 2 million? Are you saying that instead of celebrating that win and then thinking about the next step to eventually get you to 2 million, it was straight to measuring the gap, not the gain, basically? Is that what you're saying?
100%. And meanwhile, everybody else in the office like, holy crap, that's great. Like, great. And he was like, should have been 2 million, like put down, strip me of all the confidence I was. But this is important. And this is why I share these stories, because I'll tell you, Stephen, at that moment, I knew you're on your own. You're not going to get guidance. And plus he was icky, right? He was pushy and icky. So not who I was even back then. But you have to learn how to take control. In this case, it was my sales career, right? Because I knew he wasn't going to be a resource to help me develop. So it's funny how I've gone full circle with my business, 25 years. I'm all about teaching people. You're here. That doesn't mean you can't get way over here and up your game, 100-fold and make a ton
you made
more
that
money.
choice. You made that choice
I did.
to take that experience and turn it into a positive by helping other people to be that person that you wish that guy was for you.
Yeah.
However, a lot of people leave with that, and then that becomes like the hazing that they come to expect. And they expect to be that kind of hazer to the people that they're recruiting and onboarding and training. And sometimes it's passive. So what I see is there's active hazing like that, why wasn't it just 2 million? And then there's the other hazing which is silently just saying you figured it out on your own. I had to figure it out on my own. Yeah. You need to figure it out on your own, because that's what creates grit, or and that whole culture is can be systemic in an organization if it's not cut off and changed.
Yeah.
Rather than thinking, wait, this person is a winner and could be they could quit and go somewhere else and get the real coaching and real guidance that they need, and I'm going to lose them, right? So it's like having that expectation that they're actually more like a customer than they are a rep, right?
Yeah.
Like they are a customer of your organization. So.
And it's interesting you say that. I just read an article, Harvard Business Review, one of them, but the statistic was that they went out and surveyed a whole bunch of CEOs that have been sold to, right? Whatever, there was a need for a CRM system, whatever. It doesn't matter what the premise was, but they interviewed these CEOs, and the CEO's response was 84% of the salespeople, didn't matter what they were buying. So all different industries, right? All different verticals. They said 84% of the sales reps showed up not prepared, ill-equipped. They were not trained properly. No one was coaching them, and they ended up losing 84%. That hurt me. That hurt me in my soul, because there's just no reason for that. It's so easy. And this is what we're going to talk. My first question is based on who do we hire, right? If we're hiring correctly, and then we bring them in and onboard them correctly, and then ongoing coaching and training correctly, we could create these powerhouse teams relatively easily in a relatively short period of time. So in your business, what are some of the common mistakes that you see companies make when recruiting those independent salespeople or new salespeople, whatever?
Yeah. So first big mistake, I think, is they don't really know the qualities of the people, the qualities and the mindset of the person that they did get on their team, that they do, love and are so glad to be on the team. They don't know how to articulate the qualities of that person to the recruits that they're attracting. So think about this. Instead of an exit interview, let's go interview the people that left our business and ask them why, reason why it didn't work out. Do an enter interview. So someone's doing well within the first, 3, 4, 6 weeks, really that crucial moment before they've had, like right after their aha moment, I get this job, I can do this. I had my first sale, or I have my first deal in the pipeline, or something like that. Go to them and say, where were you in your mind, like in your head, when you said, I'm enough with this, what I was doing before, I want to do this new thing, or I'm looking for a new role. What were you thinking about? Who did you want to become? What is that person, what did you want in your life? Okay. So just like in marketing, there's appealing to supply, which is where does your products fit into a category, right? I'm in the CRM category, I'm in the LMS category, or whatever. That's supply. But then there's like demand, which is where was the prospect at in the moment that they decided to, in their mind, right? When they decided to bite off your lead magnet, or sign up for a demo, or reach out and give you guys a call. Do the same thing for your recruiting. So that's the first mistake. They just rely on their supply, which is, this is the role, this is what we do, right? Rather than using language around the type of people that they want to have more of. Using that, the language is so important. If the person says, I wanted this feeling or this freedom or whatever, like, that's really important. That's the first mistake. They go on Indeed, they think of supply, they need a certain amount of people to come into their funnel, rather than saying, wait a minute, let's build they don't treat their recruiting process like a marketing funnel. They think of it as a HR process of filling a role. And it really is, especially if you're working, where we work a lot with like independent, sales reps and 1099 based reps.
Yeah.
It really, really, really is more a marketing automation process where this person is potentially, you're going to be your customer and they're going to purchase your opportunity with their opportunity cost, right?
Yeah.
And so it's all around the mentality of that. So like, that's the second real mistake, is not having that mentality that you're recruiting in sales, right? It's more of a, even in the sales role, we work with sales orgs, they still see what they do with sales, with their salespeople as sales. And then recruiting is this HR process to fulfill needing a new salesperson.
Yeah.
Not an actual extension of sales.
Yeah.
So that's another mistake. And then I'd say, you asked for, I have many of these mistakes, right? But as far as recruiting goes, I think that the other big one is that big mistake is that they believe that that the actual process of getting that person recruited or attracted ends when they're into your recruiting pipeline, or they're definitely in once they're in onboarding. And I just draw correlations to sales all through this process of recruiting, onboarding, and training, and you realize it's just a sales pipeline. So for example, even in a pipeline where we've got the stakeholders all said yes to the deal, is the deal done? No, right? That's a percentage. Do we have paper? Yes, that's still, but there still could something go on it before we get the check, right?
Yep.
And so the same thing goes for sales, especially when it's not a W-2 role, where they silently leave your funnel looking at other opportunities while they're going through your onboarding or even your training. And then you wonder why the training doesn't land for them. It's not a content problem. It's not a training effectiveness problem. It's a belief problem. Is this the right role for me? Is this the right, am I in the right place? And so they're not bought in. And lastly, I'd say, if you, reduction to the ridiculous kind of thing, if you said, okay, if I didn't provide any training, is this rep so bought in? Is this potential, salesperson so bought in about the opportunity that if they wanted to learn insurance sales or software sales, they would just go on YouTube and just learn it themselves because they believed so much about this role?
Yeah.
Okay. And so it's really more of a belief and a belief building exercise in the onboarding process than it is really about the training itself.
We do things backwards, Stephen. It's so funny. We're having this conversation about a week ago, maybe a little over a week ago. I was talking to one of my clients. They're the director of training and development, and we were chatting. And so I said, how's it going? With the new hires coming in, because they do their stuff first, right? Their systems, product knowledge, all of that. And then they hand off to me. And then I do the sales, the coaching, and the service component, right? So they're smaller so that they know what they're good at, but they know what I'm good at, right? We just have a great partnership. So, I always say, how's it going? New hires, what's it looking like? Are we getting better and better? And she said 2 in the past month. She said she happened to be doing the training for this one onboarding right out of gate. And she said, I went right back to HR and to the manager that hired me. And she said, I'm telling you, they're not even going to make it through the training. And the person said, no, the next day, person called in and said, yeah, this job isn't for me. She said, and then a week later, again, doing whatever the training, the next group of people. And she said they made it through the training. And she said, but about halfway through, she reached out to HR and to the manager who, did the hiring, and said to the manager, I'm telling you, I don't think they're going to work out. And if they make it through the training, at the 3-month mark, they're going to be gone. So the man, no, you don't know what you're talking about, right? So she said, Con, I was correct on both. And I said, holy crap. I go, well, did they get into your brain to see what you saw? You saw it within, a day of having this person. And now they're not talking the whole time, right? They're observing what you're teaching. I said, did you bring that feedback back? Because they did it twice in a very short period of time. Their algorithm going in is probably off, right? So I'm sure that's exactly what you're talking about, right?
I'm curious, like, what did she say? What did she see demonstrated, or what were her things that she picked up on to go, okay, I don't know if this person's going to work out?
We didn't get in the weeds because we were talking about other stuff and scheduling, but I will tell you, she said they were not interested. They didn't have the disposition to be, this was for client facing, right? They were front end people. She said they just didn't have the disposition to be talking to people and asking questions. And they weren't that bold, I guess. They were maybe a little bit, now reserved isn't necessarily a bad thing in sales, but for what, in this, it happens to be a bank, what they were trying to do, it was just that she could see it was a mismatch. So it's interesting. So why aren't we talking to each other?
And so I think that someone who has maybe the disposition that's wrong or doesn't feel comfortable, maybe that's just a proxy for lack of confidence in are they going to be successful here? And why put themselves out on a limb to really dive in if they don't know, if they have trepidations about being successful? One example of this I like to share. This is a cool story.
Yeah, love it.
Large tier 1 automotive parts company has a problem with how many people quit after like the 3rd day on the job. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
And let's break down the problems. What seems to be the problem? Okay. Well, people are actually physically sore after being on the line after the first, day or two. And they quit because of that, or they quit because they just it's a high pressure, the line's moving. It's stressful, when you're new. And okay, well, those people quit. What about the people that stayed? How did they remark about those first few days? How do they talk about it? Well, they say, I was sore for the first few days, but then I got used to it and it went away. There's no soreness anymore. Or I promise I have a point to this. Or I was really stressed out the first few days, but I really realized it was actually my own feelings about it. Everybody else was pretty chill and cool on the line. They understood that I was new and they weren't stressing out about me. So, everybody's great. Okay, great. Go around with a video and selfie yourself talking to that person about their first day or their second day. Great. Now make a campaign where you text out that video to your hires the day after you hire them and say, hey, we're really looking forward to seeing you on your start date. Check out this little video. It's upfront contracting and sales, right? You talk about the things that might gum down the deal later on, and you put those in the front, and it's all psychological. It's all like, hey, this is a thing. You're going to experience this. Here's from a real world person talking about this. And is that training? Did I talk about how you need to work faster on the line? How you need to make sure you hold your elbows so that you don't hurt yourself.
Right.
It's none of that. And it was 100% on, can I fit into this role? Do I have the belief? That I can persevere? So
it's the emotional piece of it, right? That if people think they can't, they can't. If you think you can, you can. I mean, it's right. It's definitely a total mindset piece. And that is such a great story. And it's so funny because, I started Pilates. I had done Pilates years ago, and then a membership place just started. So I said to my husband, I'm going to go 4 or 5 days a week. I just feel really good when I do it, stronger, all those things. As you age, you need to stretch your body, strengthen. Wow. That first week kicked my butt. I forgot the muscles I had that I clearly was not using. But now I still like the next day I'll be a little sore because they work different muscles each day. Yeah. But it's not excruciating like where, you couldn't get out of the chair, right? You know what I'm saying? But because I had been through the process, just like all of us with exercise, whether you do it or don't, we've all done it at some time. I knew that soreness was going to eventually alleviate. And then now I know what to expect with little soreness. And then I think, oh yeah, we did. We worked on arms. Okay. Oh, that's good. That's a good, it's a good sore. It's a good sore. Yeah. So I love that idea of having just a candid person who's only been doing it 1, 2, 3 days to say, hey, here's what I've experienced, but guess what? It's going away. Or guess what? My legs are stronger now, whatever the positive is, because the reality of in that automotive line, it is what it is, that you can't change the line, slow it down to manage that one person.
Right.
We'd go broke, but let the person know, chill, man. It's all good. Everybody's going to help you every step of the way. You come in confident. I know I will be able to do it. They're going to have patience with me. So it's that you don't want to disappoint, right? That we're human. You don't want to disappoint.
There's different types of people that are going to do the same role. So it's aligning. So for example, if you just, we work a lot in like solar and pest control and a lot of like where they have lots and lots of reps. And if you just present the persona of the, 23-year-old white guy, white dude, right? And that's all of your videos, all of your presentations about the, thing is that person.
Yeah.
You're also signaling, this is the persona of a successful person, and maybe you don't fit into that, whether it be your age or your gender or whatever.
Yeah.
If you can mix it up and you can show videos or show, testimonials, it's just like sales. Like you go to a site, you want to see, well, where is the testimonial of the person like me, right? And that's a part of the belief building. And so going back to thinking about that person that was not super confident that your friend was talking about, there's not seeing or having the belief built or not feeling like there's like I'm going to be successful in this role, but there's also this other aspect, which is more of a hygienic aspect, which is as companies grow, the recruiting, the physical, like the onboarding, the HR onboarding process of badging up a salesperson and getting them, into the systems, the training and the retention aspects, they all get separated out. They get less cohesive, because what happens is as an organization grows, each department is responsible for their little metrics, of getting people thrown over the fence to the next section.
Right.
And what happens is they get more efficient as a department, but the experience for the new onboardee, the new salesperson, gets worse and worse and worse. So it's usually not really dialed in. And so they're getting emails and text messages from all these different systems. And so on the flip side, you could be as emotionally connected as possible to that rep, but if they feel like the company's a basket case when it comes to their processes, they can also be at a very low belief level, simply because I don't know if the operational aspect of this business is going to support me in this role. So,
and I can only imagine the level of stress and frustration that causes as well. So immediately before you get too invested, you think, I still have irons in the fire out there. Let me go back. This company isn't what I thought it was. Am I understanding that correctly, Steve?
That's right. And so I sound very dour in like the way I'm describing these, these things, but the way, what I try to do is help customers is think, just like a rep journey, map the rep journey of that person from the very first time they hear about your opportunity, at least to the aha moment, which is that moment where they're just hooked. I'm in. I get this role. I can be successful here for the near, the long, like near to short term, long term. And it's not about turning them into the consummate trained rep immediately. It's about getting them to the point where they're trained and belief enough to want to do the next step to the training. Okay. That's right. It's the step. Yeah. And so we work backwards to say, where does this person have to be at this point? Where does they have to be at this point? What are the belief skills, understandings they have to have at this point? And then we build everything backwards from that. All of the automations, all of the steps, everything like in a reverse order.
It's so funny you say that, because when I meet with clients, the first question, one of the first questions I ask is say, okay, you have an objective, you're trying to accomplish something with your teams. You're here, right? You know what's happening because it's here. You have metrics, whatever. you're telling me you want to get here. So I'm using hands, guys. I have space between my hands if you're listening on Apple. So I'm at point A, point B. The gap is here, right? So let's build that bridge. But we have to start with the end in mind, because if you don't know what you want your people to be doing, what are we training? Like, again, it's like going in the dark and let's start shooting darts at each other, right? It's going to be a very dangerous game to play.
Yeah.
But we have to have clarity of what does that end result look like. So it's the same thing. It sounds like in the recruiting process, right? Or in that hiring process, you do have to start with the end in mind and then work backwards so that we know how to position it so that the right person goes through that trajectory and is the right person at the end of the game that we're hiring. And that's how you get the longevity. That's how you get less turnover. Hiring's expensive, right? Onboarding is expensive. So this way we just fast track everything. I have another question. Do you use, or how do you recruit better reps faster by leveraging your existing sales teams so that it makes it just an easier lift? Do you do that? Like, does that make sense?
Yes. So first, I'm a huge believer. I'm passionate about this topic. Actually, CUTCO is a perfect example. They do most of the recruiting through reps referring other reps, right? They grow and they're like one of the biggest recruiters in the country. Okay. And the context, just to sell people on it that don't do a lot of this, they typically, source from other places. The context that you get from one great salesperson that's successful in your role, sharing the role out to another person. The context of that prospect is wildly different than somebody that comes off of Indeed or, some other job board, right? They come with it, like the conversation or that the story about the violinist from New York that gets $600 a ticket. It's like just an accomplished violinist, and then he plays in the subway, and he doesn't even get dollars in his case, right?
Yeah.
It's context. So big believer in it. And this is how we do it. So number one, make it stupid easy for your existing reps to sneeze out the role. They are busy. They are salespeople. The behavior change has to be extremely minimal for them to share out the role. Yep. So the way you can do this is give them like a QR code or a unique link per rep. Okay. Where all they have to do is say, dude, I got to go, but just scan this QR code and I'm going to get credit if you do move forward, and it'll immediately put you, into the nurturing sequence, learn about it. So then the next thing is build the nurturing sequence. Don't make the rep do the follow-up. Don't make the rep do any intro. Don't make the rep do any work besides talking about how they've been successful in the role and why they might want to check it out. That's it. Okay. Then you build a nurturing sequence that talks about, hey, so-and-so, I know so-and-so told you about the role. You can do dynamic text messages like that. Hey, would love to, get on a call with you. What we usually do is send out a video that tells them about it, which positions the role, explains the type of people we're looking for. Then it goes into a few qualification questions. Then it goes, if they qualify right, goes directly to a spot to book on Calendly or cal.com. Nice. If they don't book, we nudge them like, hey, I know, you got to this point. We'd love to get you, scheduled for a meeting. If they don't schedule, later on, they'll get a text about a recruiting event or a pizza party or something like that, that's going to happen where they're going to bring in, have an event where you can learn about the role. Right. But all of that should just happen in the background, and the rep that referred them should just keep doing their thing. And then you incentivize it. So we have a system for automatically tracking who referred whom, creating kind of like a, multiple downline who referred whom kind of thing. And then you can make leaderboards on that to keep track of how many people that they referred. And then obviously, it's sales reps. So incentivize that, right? Reward people for that sale, right? So that's how we do it. Is that pretty, have you seen that in the market before? This is similar?
I don't. Well, yeah. Okay. So so I know my son's companies and my husband's company, they have like refer friends. I'm going to say refer friend, where if you bring them in, they get a piece of it. But you do the introduction. There's no QR code. I love that because it makes it so simple. And everybody knows how to do a QR code. And it's funny because some of my banks across the country, they have refer a friend program. So if I'm their client and they're sitting with me, and at the end, let's say you and I get really close, I say, Stephen, listen, just like you as a small business owner, I'm always looking to grow my business and serve bigger in our community. If you have, I know your sister lives, I tell them, give specific examples of what you're looking for, because you say, hey, refer me friends and family. That means nothing to them. They leave, they're on to the next thing. They're not thinking about you.
Yeah.
But with the refer a friend program, you give them most of card, QR code, whatever it is. But you say to them, listen, your sister lives locally. Sounds like she's similar to you. If you think I'd be able to help her, I'm going to take care of her. But we have a refer a friend. We like to reward you because you're rewarding us. Mm-hmm. So, right, this is such a nice way to ask for the business. So, go out on dinner on us. You get $25, they get $25, that kind of thing. So you can make it very human, but also give them a specific of what you're looking for to be able to help that family or friend. So I love this concept. I have to tell you, I think it's passively done in the companies that I work with. I don't think it's as strategic as what you just described. That is brilliant.
Yeah. So the reason why it's passively done is because I don't really think. So again, if the recruiting HR department had to be held to their feet held to the fire like the sales department is, like them fighting words. Okay, sorry, recruiters. But like if you actually said, okay, I want to understand how, what's our marketing costs and how many MQLs and SQLs we got, and how many of those SQLs actually converted into real sales, or are you just, passing me, dead wood? Like, is this a real lead or what? If we saw how much the cost per recruit was doing through the Indeed model, and how expensive it is to get somebody all the way through to training and then have them nope out. Okay. Yep. Then they would say, let's invest in a really, really good PR affiliate, personal recruit affiliate program. Yep. Let's invest there because we're going to get better results. They'd take that money if it was really understood what the cost per recruit is. So that's why Vector is so good at PRs, because they understand what it costs them to get a quality recruit in every source. Sure. And that's why they invest so much in this other thing. One thing I'd say, a little tip on the QR code. Did you know a QR code, when you scan it, can actually not take you to a website, but rather open your own SMS with a body filled out? So for example, you can scan a QR code, and instead of it going to a website, which then you have to put your first name and last name in, it can just pop up a text that says, hey, so-and-so referred me to the role, and I'd love to learn more. My name is, and I have a space for it, and hashtag, and then like some key to like whatever the QR automation is. And so when they send the text message in, you immediately have their mobile number. That's their number. That's really them, not like whatever they put into the form, right? Yes. So a nice little tip there on texting. Yeah.
The automation is there. We were saying this before, right, Stephen, with after COVID, now we have this great software technology to support us doing Zoom and working remotely, and hybrids, I think, are really the way to go, right? It gives people a break from the commute, the cost, but still, maybe you move a little further because you're only doing it 2 or 3 days a week versus 5, like the software, the applications, the AI, like all of these resources. It's but
I still need a paper. Cool. I still need a paper menu. I still want my paper menu. I don't want to scan the QR code when I go to a restaurant.
Me too. And I better bring my glasses in so I can see it in the dark restaurant. You're cracking me up. Cracking me up. Listen, we're out of time, but I love this. I have to be honest. I don't think I've ever talked to someone who specializes in this recruiting kind of process, where you really do create it like a sales funnel, and not just here's the job description, get it out there. And it was so funny recently, and I didn't end up working with this one bank, but they go, oh, this is what we're looking for. I'm looking for what is your goals at the end? What behaviors do you want to see change, right? By the end of whatever we end up doing. And they sent me the HR job descriptions. So I responded and I said, I'm not really sure what you want me to do with this. And they go, well, then you'll see what the job description is. So that's the expectation. And I thought, well, no. You're hiring whatever. Okay. But you have people that we're trying to grow skill I don't really,
Mhm.
yes, okay, fine. I should know what their job description is. I kind of know if they're client facing what their job description is, have a communication, articulate clearly, and have the person say, yeah, yippee-ki-yay, let's go and buy this product or service. So it's just interesting that you say that because it's a sales funnel. We have to understand that. And it's not about the job description. Who are you looking for from that emotional versus, yes, we have to make sure they have the technical expertise as well. I'm not saying
Mhm.
they shouldn't. But are they going to be part of our culture? I need to understand that at that subconscious almost level, right? Am I
Yeah,
reading you right
absolutely.
here?
Like, I mean, it's wild. I should show you some of these videos, but these videos of these master recruiters, the way they talk about it, they say, what the people we're looking for are the people that want more in their life, the people that want um, to have their time. They reposition like any good, they reposition the concept of opportunity, based outcome based, income versus say hourly based income, right?
Yeah.
And that sounds like, well, obvious, you're recruiting salespeople, right? But you'd be surprised how little those types of things get into a job description. Okay. They talk about what the company wants as the
Yes.
job description,
Yeah.
rather than saying, is this what you want in your life? And that's what I'm going to talk about. I want, have you ever heard this like a pitch, a sales pitch? Is fast enough so that either somebody whiffs on it or it gets knocked out of the park.
Yeah.
And if it's not going fast enough, then you're not making enough divide between the people that align with what you're saying. Do you want this in your life?
Yes.
Or don't align, and you're like, that's not for me.
Yeah.
That's not.
Yeah. See, again, it goes back to it's got to be clear. If it's not clear, we're not going to take action. If it isn't clear, we're going to attract the wrong people. It's all about that clarity. And it's funny because we see this with, even my kids. My younger son works remotely.
Mm-hmm.
And so he would get an email. And at the time, we were all working pretty much from home. So we'd either go into my husband or my office and say, I'm not really sure what they're asking me to do. And then we would read the email and say, yeah, it's really not clear. So respond back and you bullet, I'm not clear what you mean by 1, 2, 3. Now you've broken it down. There's clarity on versus I don't understand what you're asking for. Be very clear. Now you send it back, let them go back to 1 and say, this is what I want you to do for 1. This is what he cracks me up because he'll still come, I have the email. Just, does it make sense? Am I clear? Am I clear? He always asks that word and he'll read it. And I think, do you want to write my emails? Like, you're really good.
Nice.
Training, right? It's just training. But he was asking the right questions to learn because he was trying to do a good job. And if there's not clarity in the conversation from the first, you're going to deliver the wrong thing, right? I think we forget that clarity becomes so important in every conversation, whether it's personal or professional. And that's why I like the way you almost flip this recruiting. You start with the end in mind, which to me makes complete sense. So we're out of time. Stephen, I have so many more questions. So here's the deal, peeps. I think, listen, if you are listening to this and say, wow, I never thought of it that way, or wow, that's a really interesting perspective versus just putting job descriptions out there, right? But really looking for those good candidates. So it's that preparation. We spend money up front. We become not penny wise, dollar foolish. We become penny wise and dollar wise, right? Not that throwing money against the wall. Please reach out to Stephen directly. Stephen at Conveyor, Conveyor, CONVEYOUR. The Y is kind of co-joined there. So conveyor.com. I'll put it in the show notes. Website also conveyor.com. And you do have a gift. Do you want to tell everybody what that is for me, Stephen?
Yeah. So it's going to be in the show notes, right? But if you click on the link, you'll get some information from me. You'll get an example of what our portal looks like, where you can go through and learn about how we do recruiting, onboarding, and training while experiencing what a rep experiences.
I love that. That is visual. I think we understand visual than just kind of somebody writing stuff out. You read it and go, wait, what does that mean? Whereas that visual of showing and talking, I think is just beautiful. So again, all of that will be in the show notes, but please reach out to Stephen at conveyor.com or conveyor.com. Ton of information on the website as well. Thank you so much, Stephen, for being on. This is refreshing. I'm liking what I'm hearing. And I think that, this is important. All my HR people listening, Have a conversation, explore this perspective of recruiting. I'm telling you, you'll save time, you'll save money. We get more then the person's functioning faster, quicker. On the back end, the company starts making money a heck of a lot faster. I love it. Thank you so much for being on and sharing your genius with us.
Thank you, Connie. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we'll talk soon. Really enjoyed this. And I hope you will join me weekly as we question, build, and discover no matter where you are on changing your sales game. Listen, my guests and I, we have ideas, we have strategies, we have things that hopefully really will help you. So here's the deal. You know what I say at the end of every show, right? Information's a beautiful thing. If you do nothing with it, simply information. Take one of Stephen's idea. Go to the website, email him, take that free tutorial or the video that he's going to have in the show notes for you guys to look at. Do something. I promise you it will trigger other reactions on the back end, and magic just starts happening organically. Stephen, thank you again for being on. Really a delight meeting you. Truly enjoyed this episode.
Thank you, Connie.
And you've been listening to Changing the Sales Game with me, your host, Connie Whitman, on webtalkradio.com. I am truly honored and inspired that you follow me and follow the show every week. Please subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And again, my guests and I truly hope that we can help you change your sales game on the back end. We are an email away, everybody. Have a great one. Thanks again for tuning in. See you next week.